Hey, can you hear me? Do you see my screen? Oh, hi guys. Do you see my screen? Okay, thanks, Pablo. uh, good afternoon, guys. Hope you're well and safe. My name is Bruno Vieira De Lima, and this is my first lecture in English. So right now, sorry for my bad English, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. Feel free to post questions and comments on this live. On the live, that I will answer you all. Okay, so this is my first slide. Okay, but who am I? I am currently CEO and founder of Pedlogo, another automation platform in social networks for delivery. And previously, I was a CEO and co-founder for almost 3 years of Infoca Chatbot, a startup with a focus on developing chatbots for the e-commerce. And I have more than 10 years in sales experience. I have been participating in the world of startups since 2016, and also I am a professor, speaker, startup mentor, and a tech lover, and very happy to being able to be building the future with you guys. Thank you for the journey. Uh, I tell you a little bit about the customer development methodology based on the Steve Blank's calls four steps to Epiphany. For those who never heard of it, it's a validation theory that makes it possible to build your MVP with your potential client. Okay, uh, according with Steve Blank himself, winners understand why customers buy, but understand why your customers buy from you. The basic recipe for achieving success with your project. And Steve Blank is a master to do this and teach us. If I took a little time here, I will divide the content in two parts for you. The first cycle is product hypothesis validation, a little bit of problem, solution, customer, market, distribution, and competition. And the second cycle will be about structured sales models, where I give some tips on how I did to validate my product and make the first sales in my startups, even Pedlogo or Infoca. I use the same method here. First part about customer validation, we have to keep the focus on the structured stage first. We must prepare to talk to your customers. Then we need to define the method we use to conduct the interviews. After they will develop the validation questionnaire, and we go to the interviews, and finally we create a report with the results so that we can have a concrete analysis based on data from our ideal client. Okay, it's the first phase, the first step. I call attention to fundamental points, the customer hypothesis, problem hypothesis, and understanding of the persona, right? You need to have at least an idea of who your customers are. You need to have a problem so that you are looking to solve with your solution, and lastly, at least acknowledge at least surface of your persona. Uh, persona, it's kind of you can imagine to be your best customer, the one who will see your solution and will want to buy it right away because it solves a big problem in his life. It's like the meme from Futurama. It's a shut up and take out my money right now. It's that impression. It's that impression your product can cause, have to cause in your client. Uh, the second phase, we have to define how we do the interviews. After locating your client, you have to choose the best way to contact him to get a great number of responses. Now, this period that we are in the midst of an epidemic, we don't have much test to how to raise that online, but which are the most common way. But I believe it's Bruno thoughts here. Much more and creating the online questionnaire, but going in person to where your client are. So in Brazil, we call that walk on the street, right? Create the questionnaire on your phone, publish your notebook, and take it with you while you're talking to your customer. And you fill in and document the answer yourself. Or you can also ask for permission and film or record the audio for the interview, see and hear when necessary. It's a great type here, right, guys? I had a lot of success with this method. If your idea is based on B2C, go to the street, shopping malls, approach and interview people on the street. See your customer in person. It's very important. Look him in the eye and ask for a sincere feedback on what you want to do. Explain your product. Explain your problem you want to solve. But if it's a B2B based idea, I recommend that you schedule at least 20 interviews with companies for whom you believe for your product will be important, right? 20, it's a magician number, I guess. Not so Stephen Blank recommends that number, Eric Rice used this number, and Aaron Rosda from Predictable Revenues used this number too. So I used this number too, and it's very well. After all, as Eric Rice said, the writer at the Startup Link said, the goal of startups to find the right thing to create as quickly as possible. And there is nothing better than receiving information, treat for your customer, and implement it as quickly as possible, right? Speed is a fundamental point in these startups. All of the startups. After all, one of the great advantage of big companies, it's being able to decide what to do and implement it with less cost and bureaucracy. We have to be speed persons, right? And the third phase, it's create the questions that will be asked to your potential customers. And here are 100% of personal tips. First, always use open-ended questions. Let your customers speak freely. That way you don't direct the response to something you want to hear, right? Nothing, it's a multiple answers question. Let your customer say everything he wants. If you can't do the interview in person, write 100% of what the interviewer says, especially the terms and jargons that he uses to answer you. Because each market has its own way of talking about its routine, right? Startups have our jargons, financial market have the terms, and take the time to understand a little of his body language too. Okay, this will also bring you a more personal understanding about your customer, and you can you can sell easier to him in the future. At least, and very important. Okay, very important. It's a validation interview. So don't try to sell your idea product. Don't try to sell in this interview. It's not the time, not now, but not yet. uh, Now I'm going to show you a very simple 6-question questionnaire that will help you do a validation, or at least have an idea of where to start one. Okay. The first question to do for your customer, it's a potential customer, sorry. How is your routine? Okay, in especially process this day. Start interview by asking about the routine of your potential client. At this point, it is important for you to understand how he sees his daily life. Remember here, only his vision matters. So don't question it about his opinion. Just his vision matters now. Right now, all the routine procedures that he mentions. Okay, it's very important. Probably the part of his day where the problem you're trying to solve will be appear now in this question. Okay. The second question is, what problems do you currently encounter in this process or routine or time, whatever? If he talking about the problem you want to solve or can close to, it's time to ask him specifically about part of the routine. What problems he finds exactly? Here is these problems in the order of priority he talks about. Okay, usually what we talk about first is what bothers most. The problem you solve has to be at least in the top 3 to be relevant. Okay. So in this question, the first learn, how can I say with that? List the problems in the order of priority speaks. Okay. 3. How do you try to save this today? Take this list of priority problems that he mentioned and ask him how he solves them today. Even is not your problem, solve it listed. Okay. Here you will learn about market tools, direct and indirect competitors. Here you probably understand the type of market in which you want to place your solution. Again, here we understand and learn about the tools he uses, which potential competitors are already on the market and which is in fact is the problem for him. In the question 4, we are going to let our client dream. Okay, you ask him, if you had a magic wand like Harry Potter, how would you solve it? How would you solve that problem with a magician way? Okay, ask him, if he had a magic wand to solve a day-to-day problem, what would be the problem and how would the solution be? Here, you have to take him to playful. Let's him really imagine, okay, and write down exactly how he describes it. And this is how film or recorded audio, it's very important. Okay, it's a great detail. The personal tip right now, never suggest anything to your customer, to the interviewers. Here is to really let your customer think out of the box. Okay. And now that he has imagined the questions, the solutions, ask him how his routine will be without this problem. or what would your routine be like with this solution? Here, you understand the real value that the solution he invented would add to his day-to-day. Okay. Here, you can complement with further more in that question to understand why this new routine is important to him. And lastly, ask him if this solution existed, okay, the magic happened, how and how much he would pay for it. Okay, here you will understand the real value of this for him, and it's really worth working with your team to create this solution. Here now, your own customer gives a perception of his value in the solution. Okay, after the interview, it's the fourth step, the results, measuring the results. Sorry, and now you have to bring together all of your team and look at the results, okay? When I talk about the whole team, it's really of the whole team. Even the developers have to participate in this phase, okay? This participation in the process of understanding the client will make a total difference in the way they will create the software, the solution. The result of which, the result of is that we'll have developer more oriented to the final customer, right? The customer success. It will be very, very important for the future of your startup. And now, okay, after the interviewer, after the results, after the schedule to your team, what to do? At first, analyze interview by interview and see the agreement or not among the interviewees. Okay, analyze if their options. Analyze if their opinion is in agreement with what you imagined. See if the real problem is what you set out to solve. You may be thinking that's a step backward, but it's essential to have this vision of your product, okay? Just so you don't develop a product that nobody wants to buy. Select among the interviews the profiles that fit the potential real customers. Compare if the solution you had thought, and at the beginning is really what the interviewer said. They needed, and of course, if you are willing to pay for it, okay? So if he doesn't want to pay for the solution, you don't have a product yet. So you have to agree with me in this point. Okay, and now the work begins. You have a product hypothesis, you have a customer hypothesis, you have a price hypothesis, you have a demand hypothesis, you have a market hypothesis, and you have a competitive hypothesis. So first, you have to create the first customer journey. What people have to do to be able to buy from you? How do you know about your existence? According to how do you position yourself in the market? Is it or is it a pre-exiting market, or you have to challenge and create a 100 new percent market, like in Uber, Airbnb, or Netflix in the time of foundation? And for the last one, create a complete analysis of all your competitors, not only the direct ones, but also those of the market players that do not necessarily compete with you, but are selling to the same customer, right? Here at this stage, and pay attention, and only at that stage, you can place all your customer suppliers as your competitor. This will give you a more accurate analysis of his purchase routine, right? A marketing routine, it's and how the market you are inserted in works. And after that, it's time to sell. Finally, the most fun part of having a product. That's my tips here. Make a list of 50 potential customers. Okay, so that you are absolutely sure that you need your product, and then make a sale for them. At this moment, do small tests of sales channel. Okay, try a cold call, try to send an email, message him on Facebook, message him on Instagram, message him on LinkedIn if you are B2B. Finally, vary the approach of your customer to start to understand which the most efficient. Okay, to save your time up front. And going back to the sale process itself, sell it to him. Okay, courage, man. Even if it's for a symbolic value, but cover your client from the first moment. Okay, after a solution runs for 50 or 20 days on your customers, analyze what had the best results of your product. Okay, if necessary, you have to interview and all by and again do it and create a piece of this case. Okay, it's a piece of piece of marketing of this case, showing the market, showing to our client, showing on the media all the benefits that this client had using your results. This real market validation is extremely necessary and beneficial for your startup. Okay, so you can ask me, oh Bruno, and if I don't do it with such precision, what can happen to me? So this is what can happen with you. You are motivated startupper, want to change the world, having a big idea, having a you're a very disruptive man. Can't believe it. And when you go to market with your product, the market doing this with you and your product. Okay, and this is what happens. Likes on social media networks don't pay the bills. Making a well-done business canvas doesn't guarantee anything. In Brazil, startups investors have an interesting term too, that Excel accepts everything. So what matters in the end is having a valid solution with revenue for real customers. Which is what shows that you really have something in your hands. Okay, your product is real when adds value in the market. So the worst can happen to you is you fail. But rest assured, when we're talking about startups, you have to fail. But fail fast, fail cheap, and fix faster and cheaper. It's part of journey, and it's very common. Okay, as Steve Blank said, in Silicon Valley, we have a special word for a failed entrepreneur. It's called experience. So, and from an experienced entrepreneur to others, thank you very much, guys. I want to thank you very much for your patience. Again, sorry for the bad English, and I'm very, very nervous. So I swear the next one I will be better. So I hope this was not the first and last. I would also like to thank you, Erica Marques and Pablo Esquivel from Google business group from Curitiba, Brazil. My girlfriend, Pamela, who helped me translate the slides for you and prepare the content. And all the people who have been part of my journey here, whether you are present in my life or not, you are important in this moment is also yours. In case you want to copy of this slide or talk about validation, startups, technology and innovation, follow me there on Instagram, LinkedIn, at who is Bruno Lima. And if you live in Curitiba, Brazil, after the quarantine period, they shut me up for a coffee or beer. No problem being in the afternoon, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you soon, and bye-bye, guys.